Like it's like, oh, this is actually like.
Yeah.
Got a little bit.
I mean, well. Sure. The March 6, 2025 meeting of the Mount Pleasant Planning Commission is now called to order. Ms. Palvi-Dykkel, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Devaney,
Here.
Commissioner Friedrich,
Here.
Commissioner Havels,
Here.
Commissioner Irwin,
Here.
Commissioner Kingsworthy,
Here.
Commissioner Leash,
Here.
Commissioner Ortman,
Here.
Commissioner Putten and Farley. Here. We have a quorum.
The first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 6, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Move to approve the minutes from the February 6, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the Zoning Board of Appeals report. Mr. Velez?
Madam Chair, we did not meet.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the communications. Ms.
We have
Parvati?
not received any communications, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is the public hearing for SUP 2503 and SPR 2503, a request for a special use permit for a drive-through restaurant. Ms. Pavlidayko, would you please introduce the item?
All right, so tonight we just have one case. The applicant Dennis Proto, on behalf of Brew Horizons LLC, is seeking approval for a special use permit and a site plan review to build a new drive-through restaurant at 1203 South Mission. Should just clarify that while we do have drive-through restaurant, it's going to be a beverage establishment, mostly coffee. Mr. Proto and John Shaban, the project's engineer, reached out to the planning department several months ago, inquiring about a potential construction of a 7 Brew coffee shop on this vacant parcel here on Mission Street. The proposed site plan includes 2 drive-through lanes to accommodate 7 Brew's operations, which have employees take orders directly using tablets as customers enter the queue lanes. Orders are then delivered directly to vehicles, allowing both lanes to operate at the same time without merging. Staff has worked with Mr. Shaban to develop a design that complies with the zoning ordinance while keeping the main features of the proposed use unique operations. Staff prioritized making the development more pedestrian-friendly, bringing the building as close as possible to the curb, and having the applicant provide a pickup option for under an enlarged version of their canopy area. However, the applicant was still required to seek 3 variances with the Zoning Board of Appeals, which all have been approved at their December 19, 2024 meeting. So land uses and zoning on the surrounding property are as follows here on this slide. We have a very heavy attended Taco Bell drive-through restaurant immediately to the north of the site. And I mentioned that because we are trying to get a cross-access connection with them, but it has been hard because their queue lane starts even before the actual stacking lane starts. So I'll talk a little bit about that. On the east side, we have multiple family apartments. On the south, medical and other offices. And then on the west side, we have China Master Restaurant that also came to the commission 2 years ago. The future land use for this area is mixed use medium, except for the China Master Restaurant, which is mixed use high. And mostly we have CD5 urban center with the residential dwelling unit restriction on the ground floor. And then we do have on the east property boundary a CD4 designation. So these are the current conditions viewed from South Mission Street, looking south. Current conditions viewed from the side, looking northwest. As you can see, it's just a vacant parcel. So when looking at the general standards, obviously we're on Mission Street. The proposed use is very common on Mission. And the only thing that we were trying to make sure that worked well is traffic and traffic flow. You're not going to see any parking for customers on this location. They don't have any space for customers to take their beverages within the establishment. It's just a takeout and a drive-through establishment, so they have a very small footprint. And then we just wanted to make sure that we would provide the safest possible site plan in this location, considering Taco Bell is immediately to the north. And then we also have a doctor's office immediately to the south that has pediatrics services. So we do have a lot of cars that park in that south parking lot that have kids. So when looking at general standards, we obviously worked with the applicant for so many months, so I didn't see any red flags at this time. And then when looking at the specific requirements for drive-throughs, the one thing that we have to pay a lot of attention to is the 200 feet stacking lane that's required. They do have 2 lanes, and we do not have any carve-outs, or we do not tackle when businesses have 2 lanes. So technically speaking, I have to require 200 feet for at least one of them, and they're able to meet that requirement. If that's something we want to change in the future, we can look at it, but they do meet 200 feet, and then the other lane is a little bit more, I guess, yeah, I think it's more than 200 feet, but John, and the engineer, can answer questions if you have about that. The access points are all located more than 40 feet since we're not too close to corners. And then we're not close to CD3 designated areas or CZ, so we don't have screening requirements for this site. And then all street screen requirements are going to be compliant, as well as parking design. So I did put just one image of the very first site plan that came at hand for this site, which I already presented to you when I brought this item as a work session, when we were discussing waiving their 60% build-out requirement, which is something that you all approved as part of the tax change for 2024 to make commercial development a little bit easier in Mount Pleasant. So this is the very first concept that they brought to us. This is how they usually build 7 Brew. They have a full loop, lot of asphalt around the small footprint building in order to allow vehicles to easily, safely, and very comfortably enter sites, go around the building footprint on one of the 2 lanes, and then come out. Obviously, we had a lot of zoning issues with this original site plan. Therefore, we worked with them and were able to bring as close to compliance as possible with this site plan that pushed the building much closer. This is the one that got presented at the ZBA meeting. And then the canopy was enlarged quite a bit. It's apparently the biggest canopy that they're gonna have on all their locations in the US. So the applicant can talk a little bit more about that, but that enlarged canopy helps providing a space for pedestrians that would like to take their coffee or beverage by foot. So then we also made sure that we have landscaping around the whole footprint over there, including the canopy. And we were able to fit trees elsewhere. We didn't have a lot of space, but we were able to fit the trees there. And then you can see 6 staff parking spaces on the north boundary. And then this is still got another amendment, which I'm gonna show to you in a minute. But here is another view, just an elevation view for you to see what the building looks like. There is a small portion of it that goes higher. So it does meet our minimum height requirement, plus a 10% waiver that staff can provide, since this is a modular structure, and they kind of went as far as they could on the height, but we did not need to seek a zoning, a ZBA variance on that. And then just in terms of setbacks, they were not able to put the building facade all the way to the maximum 15 foot that we required, but they were able to design the canopy to reach that level, which helped in their variance request at the ZBA as an effort to comply with the zoning, since that's one of the important findings that we need to make. So this is just a summary of what they got at the ZBA. So they got approved for this 3 variances that you can see here, numbers 1, 2, 3. Request to exceed the 15-foot front setback from the facade. Request to allow the drive-through opening for service to be placed less than 20 feet back from the facade. So that's basically where customers that are driving, they're going to be picking their beverages when coming out of the site. And then request to allow the main entrance to the building to be placed in the side elevation when it's required in the front facade. Again, clients cannot get in the building. The door is only going to be used for staff. Therefore, the ZBA approved that variance request as well. So this is the current site plan. The only difference from when they applied for the ZBA is that due to the Department of Public Works review of the site, they had to place and move the dumpster enclosure that was originally located here due to some sanitary sewer lines that are right here. And then they moved it all the way to the northeast corner, which will still allow trucks to access that. Even though they have two drive-through lanes, they are rarely full. They have a lot of stacking space, as I mentioned before. So trucks can easily come in and out. And also, I guess, waste management happens in different times when they're busy. And then the parking is just for staff. So they will come earlier and then park there. And we can still have a kind of pass-through lane on the north boundary. They submitted a landscaping requirement as well that you can see here. A floor plan for you to see what their internal operations look like. And again, they worked with modular structures, and you can see that every corner is occupied by a counter space, and it's very important for their staff to be able to work as fast as possible. I believe their business says that they deliver coffee in like 3 minutes or something like that. So that's something that they shared with us, and when we were trying to push them to relocate the door to the front facade, but that would basically mess up their internal layout. The elevation, this is the front elevation that you would see from Mission Street, and then this is the elevation that you would see from the north boundary, and that's where you see the doors for staff to enter as well as for staff to come in and out when they're delivering the beverages to your window in the car, in the vehicle. So they submitted photometrics plan. I'm going to mention about that as well. I have a recommendation of a condition regarding that. So very briefly, site plan review. I'm just going to stop on the slide where I did see issues. So nothing here. I already mentioned setback and the ZBA variance. Building standards, we went through a full list of reviews since this is a new construction. Oftentimes you don't see this chart when I present because we're often talking about reuse of existing buildings. So in this case, we did have to check all of that for compliance. So either they comply or I messed up the approximately 60%. We're very low here. It's approximately 10% that the building has, but they did get a ZBA variance. So with streetscape, the proposed development will trigger a new certificate of occupancy. So as you know, any missing streetscape elements from the street needs to be replaced. So that the list is basically sidewalk, planter strip, and street trees. There is an existing sidewalk along the frontage already. However, it's in a bad condition. So the Department of Public Works asked that the applicant replaces the sidewalk. So that is one of the conditions of approval that you'll see there. And unfortunately, at this time, we're still not yet able to ask MDOT to approve street trees on the right-of-way. So hopefully, as we go forward with the master plan update and evenly with the adoption of through-fare standards for Mission Street into the zoning ordinance, then we're going to be able to start requiring trees. But that's not something that they approve at the moment, because also we don't have a lot of space between the sidewalk and the curb. So with all of that, the proposed site plan is consistent with the future land use identified in the master plan. It's commercial in nature. And then in terms of more specifically, it provides a design that even though it's very car-oriented, it's a drive-through establishment, pickup establishment, but we try to make it as pedestrian-friendly as possible. They're also going to have a picnic table under that canopy area in the front to try to activate that space a little bit. And then it adds another beverage option along South Mission, which is obviously a very busy regional commercial corridor, not just serving Mount Pleasant, but beyond. It utilizes city resources more efficiently as well through an infill development, which always gets me excited that we're able to do a more infill development. So with the conditions laid out in the report, the ZBA variance approvals, the proposal would be able to comply with all the zoning standards. All that said, the staff's recommendation is for the Planning Commission to approve SUP-25-03 and SPR-25-03, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan showing A, screening in the form of a wall, hedge, or fence at the east property line, screening the drive-through lanes from the adjacent multiple-family apartment building. An additional receptacle for recyclable materials within the dumpster enclosure. And then 2, the applicant shall submit a revised landscaping plan showing a brick wall or evergreen hedge to screen the staff parking from the frontage in compliance with screening requirements. 3, the applicant must resubmit a lighting plan showing compliance with section 96.13 lighting standards of the Mount Pleasant, Michigan City Code to receive final administrative approval. And 4, the applicant shall conduct any repairs to the sidewalk that is necessary to ensure they're in good condition along Mission Street. And 5, the applicant shall comply with the additional requirements of public safety and public works. That concludes my presentation. If you have questions, I think I didn't answer all those elements. So if you have questions, let me know.
Yes, I do have a question. They say the applicant's already been to the ZBA. Did we deny him something?
No, we approved it. That is the course of action. So they first need to get their variance for anything that's required, and then they will come to the planning commission. Otherwise, they would have to deny the request, and then they will go to the ZBA and have to return to the planning commission. So they already got the ZBA variances.
Okay, maybe I'm being a little dumb here, but why do they have to get more variances from us if they already got variances from the ZBA?
No, they are not asking for any variances from you. I was just
This
informing.
is just special use stuff.
It's just a special use in the site plan. Sorry for the confusion. I was just reporting back on the variances.
That was my confusion, so yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I was just curious if the applicant's familiar with the Mission Street improvement plan and the possibilities in terms of what's going to happen with Mission Street and whether that had a bearing upon the request, or was it even, is the improvement plan even an incentive? Did you see it in this way? I was just curious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks for the question. I actually didn't get a chance to talk with them much about the Mission Street improvement plan. The first time that we started engaging on this was in the very beginning of fall, end of summer last year, so it has been a long time. We didn't have the draft plan yet. We just had the existing conditions analysis for Mission. So certainly a question that they can ask as soon as they come to the podium. If they heard about it. If they didn't, I'll definitely talk with them about it.
Any further questions from the commission? Okay. If the applicant would like to speak or present your case, you're welcome to come to the podium, and please state your name and your address for the record.
What's that? Sorry.
Your name and your address for the
All
record.
right. Dennis Proto. I'm from Simsbury, Connecticut. So drove out here on Monday and excited to be here. Good evening. Thank you again for Manuela for everything. She's been fantastic, the staff. Like she said, working with you guys since August, working through a lot. So it's awesome to be here. A little bit about Seven Brew. I don't know much is out there. Seven Brew we just had our 8-year anniversary. We have over 400 units. We're approaching 400 units in 33 states. So rapid growth. We got a lot more coming. So we're excited to be in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. That's my market, my territory is the Midwest here, and then I have some down in Alabama and Florida. So about 5 states right now. I'm hoping to get about 6 or 7 myself, but excited to be here. Again, Seven Brew Coffee drive-through. The concept, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Dutch Brothers. Maybe scooters a little bit out here. No, so this is good. So we're new to you. So one article, especially for Seven Brew, what separates us from Starbucks, Dunkin', Tim Hortons, all those other guys, is we're hyper efficient and it's a personal connection. We emphasize with our employees engagement. It's just not, what do you want today? Like, it's not happening. It's how you doing? What are you looking for? We want you to come for the drink the first time and then come back for the people. That's the culture. It's special to see. I was in the gas convenience store for 27 years, development and doing on Cumberland Farms out in the Northeast. This is so much fun. The kids, I say kids because they're younger, team members, they live and breathe it. They really just friendly, no phones. You won't see a phone. You won't see a tab. You won't see anything besides the tablet they're ordering. They enjoy it. There's some music playing. They're dancing. It's really, really a fun concept. And I've been excited. I've been doing it now for 3 years. And every time we have a grand opening in Lansing on Saturday, where we're preparing all week, I'm getting to know the new team members. It's so much fun. And it's in Lansing itself. I mean, it's been our best first week opening in all our stands. Community's just loving it. So again, if you have any more questions about coffee, we're more than that. We have tea, beverages, milkshakes, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Any questions for the applicant?
I have a question. How late will we be open?
10 during the weekdays. I think we were at 10:30 on the weekends.
You close at 10 PM?
Yeah, on the weekdays.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, now I open up public comment related to the case. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this item? Okay, if you come up to the podium and then share your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Anja Müller. My address is right behind that at 1147 Eastwood Drive, which is why I got the notice, I assume. It's exciting that there's a lot of, engagement in the building, but I don't see any engagement really if you're just on a window. So I would prefer personally something where you have a sit down, where you can actually meet the people around you, not just the one at the window. I think that would help, make this place more livable than another drive-through, and we already have a lot of drive-throughs. So that is, a drive-through also always gets a lot of pollution in that area, which again makes it less livable as a Mount town, as a place here in Mount Pleasant. And I love Mount Pleasant. I've been here for quite a while, and I would like it to be increasing in livability and walkability and all of that, not decreasing in this case. So it would be great if this would be a place where you can sit down and talk to people and engage, and that is exactly something that we should have. I just don't see that in this proposal. So that I wanted to mention that. Thank you.
All right, any other members from the public? Anyone online?
I do not see anyone in an email or Zoom.
Okay. I will close public comment and open discussion.
I'll move to approve SUP 2503 and SPR 2503, subject to the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall submit a revised site plan showing A, screening in the form of a wall, hedge, or fence at the east property line, screening the drive-through lanes from the adjacent multiple-family apartment building. B, an additional receptacle for recyclable materials within the dumpster enclosure. 2, the applicant shall submit a revised landscaping plan showing a brick wall or evergreen hedge to screen the staff parking from frontage in compliance with screening requirements. 3, the applicant must resubmit a lighting plan showing compliance with section 9613 lighting standards of the Mount Pleasant, Michigan City Code to receive final administrative approval. 4, the applicant shall conduct any repairs to the sidewalk that is necessary to ensure their good condition along Mission Street. 5, the applicant shall comply with the additional requirements of public safety and public works.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is public comment. So for general public comment, members of the public are invited to come forward. Okay. Seeing none, are there any online?
No one is online, Madam Chair.
Okay, I will close public comment. Next item on our agenda is new business and annual report.
All right, so each year you see the staff preparing the annual report for the Planning Commission. So as usual, we have the number of applications that got approved and all of that, as well as a full list of updates to the master plan goals and objectives as a way to ensure that staff is progressing towards those long-term goals. Aside from that, I've included the same kind of new features that I included in 2023, which are more information about the pre-application meetings. We continue to receive really positive feedback about that process. Also, an expanded project activities section that lists work session items and kind of the outcome of those. The special projects section, which every year we're more and more engaging with Central Michigan University on research projects. So I would love to continue that. And then more information about the developments that got approved by the Planning Commission, as well as administrative approvals in the development activity section. So I would like to request the Planning Commission to approve the 2024 Planning Commission annual report as received.
Do any members have any questions? Okay. Do we have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is staff report.
All right, so I have a few items for you, not just the one that we have in the agenda, but the first one that we have in the agenda is the introduction of a new Planning Commission member that is sitting already here with you. Rachel Punden-Farley, I would like you to introduce herself and share anything that you'd like to share with the commission. And then I'll just note that we did have already a full orientation on Friday before this meeting. So anything that if you want to share anything about that, anything that was surprising to you, or things that you want to learn more. And then I'll just note that the Planning Commission still has one vacant seat, so please spread the word out there for folks to submit applications on the city's website.
Thank you. So I'm Rachel Putnam-Farley. Technically, I generally go by Farley because it's just easier for everybody. I have been lived in Mount Pleasant for just a few years now. My husband and I have two small kiddos, and we moved from Bay City. My husband is a principal out at Shepherd Public Schools, which is the draw here. So I work for the state of Michigan in the Division of Victim Services, which is housed within MDHHS. I do quality assurance monitoring and technical assistance with all of the domestic violence and sexual assault programs across the state, and am our department's identified expert in housing. So that means I do a lot with emergency shelters, transitional housing. In my previous life, I was a program director in a domestic violence and sexual violence organization, and I sat on the local COC board and oversaw 16 state and federal grants. So I do a lot with MISTA and the local planning bodies and things like that. So I'm really excited to join the board and start to learn and see what is going on in Mount Pleasant and to see if my expertise can be helpful in any way. So thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's quite the resume.
Yeah, so we try to have a diverse planning commission board, everybody with their own expertise. So we're just very excited to have another housing expert here since we lost Kelly. All right. So the next item that I have here is an update for you regarding the rezoning for the joint session, work session with the city commission. So in the last meeting, I asked the planning commission if you would approve me to schedule that meeting. So you all said yes. I think you also wanted to have a more kind of like general discussion with the city commission at some point about planning citywide. So we can still talk about that and see if we can schedule something in that regard. For now, the joint session about the rezoning has been canceled for March 10th, and we will reconvene at a later date. So basically, the Central Christian Academy Board of Education, who's behind the private Christian school, that is part of that project. They are going to be continuing to explore other alternatives, and then we'll reconvene in the second half of the year and see if we want to file again. And again, this is one of the reasons is because we didn't get the rezoning to be approved, and staff cannot apply for the rezoning within the next year since the denial, unless we have more information. So we will need the school to be on board in order for us to move forward at this time. And then the last update that I have for you all is just the Community Improvement Awards. I did receive all your voting sheets, so thank you so much for the quick turnaround. And we'll be announcing the winners at the March 10 City Commission meeting. So in case you want to tune in, we have 3 winners. We did get a tie for the residential category again. It happened the same thing last year. So we have 3 winners. They're very excited. They're all going to be coming and receive their awards in person. So that is it for the staff report.
Great. Any questions for Mrs. Pavlidayko? Okay. There's no further business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm gonna second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.
There's a gavel.
Yeah, right?
Gavel for your sweater. One of these days, I'm just gonna
Start
name
Cedar
it.
Check?
I'm just gonna object. I'm just like, guys, I know.
Objection?
Let's talk more about